Holding called on Faalele, and Jackson coughs it up.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Keith from Black Quarterback Series. And y'all already know where I'm going to start with. I don't even think we got to act like y'all don't know. Y'all seen the thumbnail. Nightmare season for Baltimore. Let's start with some of the positives. The defense looked decent in the first half. Derrick Henry didn't fumble the ball. Hop made a good catch. I think Hop need. If he wants to play, I think he should play another season in Baltimore. But that's pretty much all the good news that we got. A lot more bad. We looked absolutely outmatched and outgunned against the worst Kansas City team probably that they've had in this 10-year span. We look completely outgunned, completely outmatched, completely outclassed. It's time for Baltimore to probably go ahead and shut it down and figure out what they want to do. Are you going to fire your – because you got to make a decision at this point. Are we going to pick Lamar Jackson or are we going to pick Harbaugh? Because I'm going to keep it 100. I think Lamar was hurt, but if this was a play, I think they said it in the broadcast that if this game was closer, he would have stayed in the game. They had him flustered. They had him doing uncharacteristically Lamar things. They was blitzing him like crazy. He was running for his life. Like, great game plan by the Kansas City Chiefs. But you got to help him. Offensive line was trash all game. And defense was trash as usual. They've given up 40 points, I think, every single game except for one. And I think it was the Cleveland game they didn't give that up. So you look at yourself and you're like, yes, it's partially Lamar's fault he didn't play well, right? But how am I supposed to play well when my offensive line isn't helping me? Just the same thing I say about CJ and the same thing that I'm going to say about our guy Cam Ward. You can't be successful if you're running for your life. You just can't be successful with that. So it's time for them to make a decision. It's time for them to make a decision. Lamar or Harbaugh. Zach or is this Zach? I forgot Zach's last name. But the defensive coordinator or Lamar. And like some people like Lamar quit on his team and he could have came in. They literally said in the report that if it was closer that he would have came back in and played. If he thought they had an opportunity to win, Lamar Jackson would have came back in the game and played. So I don't want to hear none of that. So I'm sure today I'm recording this Sunday night, and I'm sure all the week they're going to talk about how bad Lamar is. And they said that Kansas City got Lamar Jackson's number and everything. There's no leg I can stand on because nobody wants to hear the absolute truth. And the absolute truth is Lamar Jackson is playing with a hand and an arm, a hand and a half an arm tied behind his back. With this defense, with this coaching staff, and just all the BS. Just all the BS that is attached to this franchise. I posted this video yesterday or Sunday night with the view of the Dallas and Green Bay game. Y'all should go check that review out. That game was absolutely phenomenal. I posted this along with that, but I'm going to post it here. And then we're going to move on to Philly. So this is what I said initially. That I also posted this on IG. So check this out. Hey, what's going on, guys? I don't normally do this. Normally I sit down and give my critiques and, I am, but I just want to give y'all my initial thoughts in real time. So you guys won't see this till Wednesday. But so Lamar Jackson is hurt now because of his terrible offensive line and his terrible defense. I'm not saying Lamar played the best. I'm not sitting here saying Lamar Jackson is not at fault. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson is perfect, right? You have a generational quarterback, and you're doing nothing to help him. It reminds me kind of like, I don't want to say LeBron James' whole career, but it kind of reminds me of, in a sense, the 07 Cavs. But at least that 07 Cavs had a great defense. This defense is terrible. And then Marlon Humphreys not taking nothing serious, and Kyle Hamilton coming out and saying that he thinks that Raven fans are quote-unquote spoiled. I've been watching the Ravens, even when the Rams were here. I was watching the Ravens when they had Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Suggs. My mama loved that team, and so I ended up loving that team. And so always have heart for the Ravens. But when Lamar's gone, if they keep this organization, I am done. I am done. Malpractice all around. They've completely destroyed this team. Mike McDonald should be the head coach, but they chose Don Harbaugh over Mike McDonald because probably of quote-unquote personal relationships. So I'm done. I'm going to talk about this team probably still, but in the end they just held them up at 3-1. Like I'm done. Man, this is bad for them. But if this is what it takes to get Lamar a better coach, then this is what it takes. But this is ugly. This is ugly. So yeah, that's really all I got to say about Baltimore. We might be done covering Baltimore for the rest of the year. I'm sure I'm lying, but if Cooper Rush is going to be the starter for the next few weeks, ain't nothing to talk about. They do play Houston next week, so we might have to cover that game. But if Lamar not playing, then we're not covering. I'm going to keep it a stack with y'all. So we're going to move on to Philly. So Philly won in a nail-biter against the Bucks, where I'm starting to become a real big fan of the Bucks. Jalen Hurts was 15 for 24, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 carries, 62 yards. And all of that was in the first half. So they ended up winning, made big plays down the stretch to win. But AJ ends up putting something on his Instagram or his Twitter along the lines of something like he's not appreciated or he don't feel appreciated. That's essentially what it is, right? And when you don't get the targets that you want and the offense is up and down, you're like, they scored 31 points. They didn't complete a pass in the second half, right? And they still won. So do I still believe that Jalen Hurts is a top 10, top 5 quarterback? I firmly believe that because we can't just keep ignoring wins. Like those are not part of the deal here. And when he had to throw the ball, he threw the ball in a proficient to elite manner, right? But in the second half, he didn't have to throw the ball like that. And then when they did, he was 0-8, right? So it's a quandary. He's a weird type of player, right? And I'm starting to not be mad if people don't have him outside the top 10 because the way he wins is different. So I completely understand why somebody would have him outside the top 10. But we can't keep acting like he's not one of those guys. He's not one of those guys. Yeah, he has all the talent, but it doesn't move unless he's there. They don't win the Super Bowl unless he has a phenomenal performance in the Super Bowl. So we can't keep doing that with Jalen Hurts, but I digress. I think it's time to trade A.J. Brown. If we're not going to make A.J. Brown super featured in the offense, and he going to keep complaining and keep subtweeting and doing this after they've won 19 of their last 20 games, and he's still upset because he's not getting the targets, it's time to move on, bro. You can get Devontae Smith. If Devontae Smith becomes the number one, and then you trade A.J. Brown for a host of picks and supplemental things, you can make up for A.J.'s deficit. I firmly believe that they're talented enough to where Devontae Smith and a host of second, number 2s and number 3s can make up for A.J. Brown's deficit. And it's unfortunately, like, they're not using him like that. They're not using him the way he was used in where Cam Ward played for the Titans. He wasn't there. Funny enough, the Titans could use the A.J. Brown right now. I'm sure Cam Ward would love that. But it's a weird situation. You're winning, but you're still complaining. And they gave you the big contract. They paid you all that money, guys, so you should shut up. But at a certain point, either request a trade or shut up. You can't keep throwing subtweets and stuff out there like that. So, that's really all I got to say about that. But they got the win, so that's all that matters. 4 straight wins to start the season off, and none of them have been pretty. I feel like I said this last year about the Eagles. They got to put together 4 good quarters of football. It's always 2 good here, 1 good there, 1 good there. They're like the Boston Celtics the last 4 or 5 years. They're so talented that they half-ass the whole game, but they still win because they're so much better than everybody else. So, yeah, I'm saying all this like they lost, but this is if there's such thing as a bad win, this might be one of those. Like last week was a great win. Last week was a great win. So yeah, we're going to Malik Neighbors. So I have a list. Shout out to the Twitter user who posted this. Malik Neighbors tore his ACL again on the turf in New York. I don't know how many elite skill players got to tear their ACL on this turf for the NFL to realize that NFL and human bodies don't respond well to turf. If FIBA players, soccer players, World League Cup players, the most popular sport in the world, say they don't want to use turf, and they run way more than NFL athletes, we should probably listen to them. But when you got these owners that don't really care like that, and they're just trying to shave every dollar off of stuff, this is how you get AstroTurf and this stuff. I played on carpet once in my high school career. If you guys are from St. Louis, y'all know where Clayton is. Clayton has a blue field, AstroTurf. It feel like playing on carpet, like bumpy carpet, like your cleats don't really get into it like they would on regular grass. There's no give on that. Like it's the worst type of thing to play on. I couldn't imagine playing 5, 6, 7, 8 games on that. I played Clayton maybe twice in my high school career, and every time we had to go play Clayton, it was terrible because I hated playing on that field. I loved the way the field looked; it was pretty, but your cleats don't grip the ground like they should, like they do on regular grass. Like it's going from like a cuppy thing to like it's just like this. It's just like sitting on top of it. And I can only imagine with elite athletes that you're doing all these moves and they don't have no give. So when you try to burst out, your leg gets stuck there. And that's if you look at all these ACL tears and all the ways that these players are losing their seasons to this, they always lose the same way. They try to make a fast move. The body want to go this way, but the turf want to keep them this way, and then the ACL rips. So just from the little experience I got from turf, it's terrible. So it wouldn't take much. It wouldn't take much to put grass in these fields, but they want to be so cheap. And I hate that. I hate that for the NFL players. But that, again, that's one of those things that they have to collectively bargain, I'm sure. Like I said this a long time ago, the NFL players have to be willing to lose games over what they want. And this is something that they got to willingly lose games over because they're going to have to collective bargain this. The owners are not just going to do this because they love you. They love us. They're not going to do that. So they're going to have to collective bargain this. Like I said, I don't want to sound like one of those people, but they'd rather smoke weed than get real things done in the collective bargaining, which is why the NFL has the worst collective bargaining agreement in sports. So, yeah. So, moving on. Cam Ward, do I have his numbers? I do. CJ Stroud, 22 for 28, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cam Ward, 10 for 26, 108 yards on interception. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch this full game, but just from what I've seen, it's more of the same from Cam Ward. That's why he said they ass. Like, I need more accountability from Lamar Jackson like that. I wish Lamar Jackson would call out his team like that, the way Cam Ward just did. But that's Cam Ward's personality. He's always been a little Aaron Rodgers more than Peyton Manning, you know what I mean? So I'm not surprised he said that, but he's right. They're not very good. They're 0-4. And it's a lot of plays that Cam Ward can't control. He can't make players catch the ball. So as far as CJ, I'm not going to get on CJ. This is the game you're supposed to win. You're going to look really, really good in these type of games. And I really wanted to talk about this. Now, before I show this, I know this is a poor copy because I recorded this from the TV when I was watching the game. And so I'm going to show you right here him running for his life from the CBS broadcast. How do you sack a quarterback really before they even, really before they even get the ball. And the fact he's running for his life, it's just like, wow. Like, I might keep saying this till the cows come home. This offensive line is one going to either get him hurt or they're going to get somebody fired. And it looks like they're on the road to doing both. So, congratulations on winning the game 26-0, but you get against the Titans. I'm expecting you to do that. Now, we're going to see what they do next week, which is actually going to be really interesting. Which one is going to be worse next week? Baltimore's defensive line or Houston's offensive line? Because this is like the best of a. These are like the. This is like the mid offs, the low tier offs. Like, which one is gonna look dominant against the other one? Because I can make a case for either one. If you want to go CJ in Houston, you can go. Well, they've actually shown the ability to block against top tier teams, just not enough, right? And you can say, the defensive line for Baltimore did have their opportunities, and they played fairly decent in spots. Like last week, they got enough stops to make it competitive. So you could argue both sides. It's just going to be interesting to see which unit is going to be worse, because this is two of the lower tier of both of their units in the NFL. It's going to be interesting to see. So we got two more games, and then we're going to go and get out of here for the week. Not sure if I'm going to do anything with the Miami Jets game. I'm actually watching it right now, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but we'll see. We'll see. I might make a post about it, so stay tuned on the feeds. Follow me at Black Quarterback Series Black Quarterback Series, Instagram / Black Quarterback Series podcast.com, and I'll pop up, and I'm sure I made a post about it. So, but we got two more teams. Let's go ahead and do this so we can get out of here. So Penix, 20 for 26, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. But to me, that's not the show. Bijan Robinson, 181 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. He has 17 carries, 4 receptions. Dude was just a monster. He was everything that you wanted him to be. Second best back in the league, probably the best back. I don't know. That's a very stacked position now. So I don't know, but one of the top 10 backs for sure. So Atlanta looked how you wanted Atlanta to look finally. That offense was humming, right? Offense was humming all game, and the score is closer than to me personally the game indicated, because it got close. There was a bad interception by Penix. It was a bad interception. But overall, Atlanta controlled this game for the most part. Like, even when the game got close, Atlanta got the ball back with 8:48 in the fourth quarter. And you're thinking, okay, Washington get a stop. Washington going to get a stop, and then it's going to get real close. Washington never even saw the ball again. And by the time they saw the ball again, it was 2 minutes left to go in the game in a 10-point deficit. Washington ain't got the horses right now to make that type of leap. So this was a good concept of what they can be. And if they can be this high-powered offense with all these weapons everywhere, because Bijan going, you try to get on Bijan, then you got Kyle Pitts over the middle. You got Kyle Pitts over the middle, then you got Drake London. And then you got Michael Penix who can move a little bit. Excuse me. So if this is a proof of concept, I love what I see from Atlanta. I just hope Atlanta can keep the pedal to the metal. I just hope Atlanta can keep the pedal to the metal, and this can be an every week occurrence for them, because it should be. It should be. So, final game of the day, the Raiders versus Chicago. First off, Max Crosby was an absolute monster. I'm talking about Max Crosby had I don't want to say Aaron Donald type of performance, because he's not as good as Aaron Donald, but he can impact the game like that. I'm talking about even the plays that he didn't sack Geno Smith, and we're going to get to Geno. Even the plays that he didn't sack Geno, it was like, bruh, like, you need to calm down. You are all over the place in a good way. All over the place in a good way. And as I'm looking for the numbers, I'm talking about he was dominant. I'm talking dominant. They don't win this game. Well, they didn't win, but They're not in this game if it's not for Max Crosby putting on an all-time performance in that first quarter and throughout the game. So we're gonna talk about the Raiders first. So Geno was 14 for 21, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Aston Genty finally had a coming out party, 21 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown. But these 3 interceptions by Geno Smith, I'm going to try to find all 3 of them and put them in this. All I need is one. I just need one. Because he got beat the same way 3 times. The safety read his eyes, went to where he was going to go, pick. It was like, you're playing Madden and you're trying to force for a goal or something, you throw an interception. That looks like what Geno was doing. I'm talking about Geno was terrible yesterday. Like, they probably could have won this game running away because of how great the Raiders defense was, but because Geno kept giving Chicago multiple opportunities, and we're going to get to Chicago, kept giving Chicago multiple opportunities to score the ball, the numbers kind of panned out for Chicago, and they were able to get the win. So Chicago wasn't that great either. They only had 95 total yards in the first half. What else I got to say about Chicago? So, yeah, Chicago, it was a really dirty game. And by dirty, I mean like, oh, damn. Sheesh. By really dirty game, I mean everything was so hard for them. And then, I just raved about Max Crosby and that defense. It shows. When I say everything was hard for Caleb Williams, everything was hard for Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was 22 for 37, 212 yards, a touchdown and interception. And that was so hard. In the NBA, they say make it hard for him, even though that he scored 25 points, make it a hard 25 points. That is a hard touchdown and a hard 212 yards and 22 for 37. Like, you can visibly tell by Ben Johnson, I feel, is being very disrespectful to that announcer. And if he looked a little different, we'll be talking about it more. But everything was so hard for them. And then that defense kept bending. And eventually they broke. Eventually they broke at the end, and Chicago was able to come off with the win. Very, very hard fought win. I'm concerned about the offense in Vegas. And I'm very enlightened by that Chicago game. Caleb Williams earned a lot of stripes in that game because that game was hard to win. That's not an easy game to win. So, big time win for Chicago. Devastating loss for the Raiders. And yeah, I was gonna get to what's our guy name? Bryce Young, but I feel like Bryce Young hasn't done anything for me to really talk about her. They got absolutely blown out. So it's just, I want to talk about Carolina, but I'm be for real with you guys. I don't like looking at Carolina because it's never anything to talk about. Talked about the Titans earlier because the Titans played Houston. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. We're probably not going to talk about the Raiders, or not the Raiders. Justin Fields, like I said, because I'm watching it right now. But stay locked on my feeds, and you'll know if I'm talking about him today. So that's all I got for you guys. I will talk to you guys probably next week. Definitely not doing that Rams 49ers game ill. And so I'll talk to you guys later. If any breaking news happens, I'll definitely make sure to put that in here. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.